home computer. Quality. Sorry if I'm sniffling like crazy. I cleaned out my shop today and it was filled with dust. It's been about a year since I've done that, so I was sweeping and using the shop vac, and it's been killing me since a couple hours ago. So I'm going to bounce back and forth between the YouTube page and my Steemit account. It was funny today because I got my first comment on YouTube. I've gotten comments on Steam, but first comment on YouTube, and it was on my video where I was trying to do a little shout out to JSnip4, and somebody just got on there and bashed JSnip, and I'm just like, I'm not sure. And Gold and Silver Man, I guess is his name, or Silver Gold Man or something. Just basically saying that JSnip doesn't research anything that he does. He just listens to Cliff, which, some stuff he tends to listen to Cliff in his reports to reaffirm anything that he's already thinking. I know there's plenty of cryptos in Cliff's report that JSnip hasn't touched, and there's ones outside of Cliff's report that he has touched. So that's, just somebody wanting to hate. Which is fine. I just find it ironic. YouTube, which is obviously a website that, well, it's full of negativity. The trolling and everything that everybody complains about is definitely real. And I just found it hilarious. I don't even know how this guy even found me. I've got 10 people that watch a video, and this dude's trolling up my page. It's kind of hilarious. Whereas you roll over to Steam, and I started using Steam way before I made videos. It's been about a year, and kind of intermittent. I wasn't recording that or wasn't posting that many things on here, but mostly because I can't stand writing. My brain works faster than my fingers type, so I lose train of thought and I fall behind or skip over words, and then I got to go back and reread my stuff. I can't stand writing. I love reading, but can't stand doing it myself or writing. But the comments on the Steam page, even somebody who criticized my first post, basically because it was just like an intro post. I was just putting something out there just to put it out there, get comfortable talking. And he was just kind of like saying, hey, try to bring some substance to the page. And I, totally respect that. That's his opinion, and I'm with him. Besides the fact it was just an intro video, it wasn't really any substance to be had. But it was kind of critiquing me, but on a positive note. And then all the other comments on Steemit have been really positive. That people don't tend to say anything on Steemit unless it is a well thought out rebuttal to somebody's opinion. Or it's something positive, and that's just it says a lot about that community. It's fantastic. Obviously it's a micro of a microcosm of what the YouTube community is, but it's definitely a positive microcosm of what the YouTube community is, because the YouTube community is not very friendly. That just goes with our society. It makes everybody, it seems like, out there really happy to make other people feel like shit, which, if that ever becomes a problem, if it ever gets to the point where, I have, 100 or 200 people watching videos and people start getting in a fight, I'm just going to do what Bix does and turn off the comments, because, there's just no room for it. Why just spend all your time making other people feel like shit? If you don't agree with somebody, that's absolutely fine. Everybody has their own opinions, as they should, and you can post that or put that in a positive format and put it up for a debate, argue your side. All that's well and good. That's positive. That's building up a reputation of a channel. It helps bring on further discussion from other individuals that might not have chimed in otherwise. So that's positive things, even if two people don't agree. But just to go out there and be negative is. There's no need for it. There's enough negativity running around this place, man. Read any news feed, and 95% of it's negative. So you can see these lights. They're kind of glaring in this camera. I apologize. This camera is the default camera on my laptop, and it's terrible. That's why I prefer to just sit in my truck on the way to work and do this. So I do apologize. I have a much better computer that's a desktop, and I might just run out to Best Buy this week and and get one mounted on that, because I think that's going to be a better solution. Cause I'm not even sure how this audio is going to turn out, so we'll find that out as well. Might be just as bad as the video, which in that case this won't ever get posted. But so it's Sunday night. It's the 17th of September, and just looking at where some of the cryptos lie, I'm not even going to bring up any other cryptos really besides the big three: Litecoin, Bitcoin, and ETH. But it really seems like since they took that initial dive off of what is still unconfirmed things out of China, it's been in that 35 to 3,800 range for Bitcoin after it dipped all the way down to just about 3,000. So it's been there for a few days, and it looks like it's building a nice base underneath what is another run. Now, we've seen this a couple times with Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum. They've been trading, at least on Coinbase and Gemini. They all tend to trade whether either up or they're all down. But we've seen that major pullback we had in Ethereum, especially. It was like 2.5 months ago or so, and it really stayed in that range. It bounced off the bottom, a good 20 or 30%, and then it traded in a range for a good 3 or 4 weeks, really, before it had this latest breakout up again. So I don't know how long this one will last, but I mean, I think if you can get any Bitcoin at this point sub 36, sub 37, you're not going to regret it. But of course, don't put any funds in there that you need access to in the next couple weeks, because you don't want to take a little bit of a loss if it does pop down a little bit. And I have to, everyone's got to do the disclaimer on here, right? I'm not a financial advisor, and I do not give financial advice to anyone. I'm just going off of what I see and the last couple pullbacks it's had and the building that it's done underneath before it makes another run, which the last run just came out of nowhere, especially for Bitcoin. All of a sudden it was just like 36, and it was 4, and then it was 47 before we knew it, and I think it topped out at 49, and maybe a little bit of change for this last pullback. So before that big run, its low was like 2,100 or something like that. Maybe it dipped down below 2,000. I'm not looking at a chart. Before it did its run all the way back up above, that $4,900 mark. So if 31, which we just saw, was the low on this one, this should be a pretty good base around that $3,600, $3,700 mark to do another run over 5. And Cliff's got it being 6,800 before the year's out. And, it's obviously we can't sit there and say that's, 100% accurate, because we don't know. It's, future. If we knew the future, we'd all be multimillionaires. But, I mean, I've kind of, I can't find a reason to argue with the guy, and at least, argue with his data, I should say. This isn't just Cliff, hitting some meditation bowls and telling us the future here. He does, do the predictive linguistics, and that's what the data is telling him. So he's been pretty damn spot on. So, I'll get a little bit more at this low and see if it does a decent job. But let's see. So that's Bitcoin. That's a little bit of trolling we've covered. I'm liking Litecoin at 51. I did buy this latest dip. I bought a handful more. I think that's a really good trade. I mean, especially with this, with fall coming up, who knows? Fall's always that time of year where financial analysts get a little antsy, and they don't know if this is the fall that things are going to start dipping down and staying down. We got the little scare, what was it, 2015 going into 2016. But really caught up at the beginning of 2016, and everybody was doing their little freak out until the plunge protection teams came back in and the central bank stabilized the markets at that point. But like you say, the bond market is pretty crazy. If you guys follow Gregory Mannarino, he tends to follow that pretty well. And I've heard some people bash on Gregory Mannarino, but he seems to give decent analysis to me. I don't see any reason to bash him, and I think Greg Hunter over at USA Watchdog is a pretty good judge of character, and and he's good friends with the guy, so I tend to at least listen to what Greg has to say, and I think he's spot on with most of his bond market talk. So that could get interesting. And then obviously we don't know what the hell's going on with the war front with North Korea, and obviously the king of insanity, Mr. Mnuchin, saying he's going to cut off. He could threaten to cut off China from SWIFT, which is that's just kind of like looking at your leg and deciding you're going to saw it off because it made you angry. You know, we'll be the ones hurting really bad if we cut off China from SWIFT. That would tank us pretty damn quick. So I don't know what all the rhetoric's about. I don't know if anybody knows what all the rhetoric is about besides, those at the very top. But Jay Snip's also got the Lindsey Williams video. He's going to do a little video on his summary of that, so I'll be interested to see what he says there. But all in all, I mean, we even just looking at, gold had a bad week last week after having like 3 or 4 really good weeks in a row. Obviously, the dollar's down like 11% since the beginning of the year. So, that trend, a lot of people are saying that trend is not looking like it's going to go back up. It's going to continue its legs down here. So that only is good things for alternative currencies or money, if you're talking about the true money of gold and silver. I don't want to make anybody upset by calling gold and silver currency, because it's not. But all in all, I was going to do anniversary celebration with my wife yesterday, and our babysitter ended up getting strep throat, so we didn't do that, which is too bad. But we ended up still getting to go out to dinner and try a new restaurant, so that was nice. But that's why I didn't do a video yesterday, and then I was working all day today outside in the yard, since we're supposed to get our first rainstorm in like 2.5 months starting tomorrow. So I was just trying to get some stuff cleaned up and ready for winter, which is fast approaching. We went from like high 80s to it's supposed to be 56 tomorrow. We went in like a week. We made that change. So we had no spring this year, and then looking like we might not have much of a fall. We'll see. Cliff's Alta reports have talked about the he talked about the short hot summer, especially in the west, which is what we got. And he talked about winter coming early, so I'm hoping not. Last winter was a nightmare. It's a lot of snow to move. We pretty much had between 24 and 34 inches of snow on the ground the whole year, and it just kept coming. So it was not fun, man. I spent a lot of time shoveling. My driveway is about 700 feet long, and getting vehicles stuck in the darn thing, and then the plow truck guys kind of plowed it so that the berms on either side were too close. So by the end of the winter, you're like slaloming in between these two snow berms, and they had iced up underneath, so they couldn't move them anywhere. And so yeah, should be another interesting winter. Hopefully a little less snow on the ground. Hopefully a little less brutal cold. I'll have my farm critters better prepared this year than I did last year, because the previous 2 winters were pretty mild. And so I'm already thinking about that, and we're going to make sure we don't lose any critters this year from the cold, because it will get down to -10 here. We got a little mountain that cold air drops off of really quick, so we get about 8 to 10 degrees cooler than everybody else around us, and that's kind of a pain when it comes to dealing with animals or any kind of agriculture. You want to do gardening or all that good stuff. It makes it a lot harder when your nights get so darn cold. I already lost all my I kind of just abandoned the garden, but I still had a little bit of squash in there, and basil, stuff like that. I had hops growing, grapes, and they're all done just from the last 2 nights of freezing. So yeah, it's getting to be that time of year again. Gonna have to get everything prepped for the long gray winter that I'm not looking forward to. So just want to do a quick update here on Sunday night. I hadn't done the video yesterday and kind of broke my own 30-day challenge rule, but it was supposed to be an anniversary celebration. Didn't turn out to be as much as we would have liked. I had some decent plans made, and babysitter, unfortunately, she started feeling so bad that she couldn't even make it. My kids were sick all last month, and I just wasn't gonna deal with that. We're in full swing of school that they're doing 3 days a week, and don't have time for the little guys to be little guy and little girl. I mean, to be sick anymore. But I'll definitely do one tomorrow on my way into work. Think about some topics tonight to cover, and I'll be right back at it every day. I'm going to try to really hone in on one specific topic for each video, and we're going to cover all different kinds of stuff just because my brain's that way. Spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time studying an array of topics over the last 4 or 5 years. And really, since I learned I was going to become a father, it's just like all of a sudden your spidey senses turn on, and you're like, okay, I got to figure out everything that's wrong with the world, and so I can protect my kids. But yeah, so we'll I'll think of something tonight, and we'll come up with a good one tomorrow. I hope this video audio quality turns out okay, guys. I apologize if it doesn't. I'm not going to use this camera any more than I have to, and I'm going to go out and just buy a new one. They're so darn cheap now. There's no reason to not go spend $50 on a decent camera over at Best Buy. So have a good night, guys.